Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in to check out this video. This is a removal of a bald-faced hornet nest that was in a holly bush. And this was an elderly couple that had a dog that had gotten stung a couple times. And they needed it removed before they got stung. So, this is just a couple shots here just showing the activity. This day was super hot. Like, this was like 95 degrees, super humid. And there was a lot of activity outside the entrance of the nest just fanning it. I love showing the fanning activity because I think it's so neat. Like, these guys can sense a slight temperature increase of like 5 degrees, and then they'll come out to the entranceway and then they fan the nest to try to like usher a breeze into the nest to kind of keep it cool. So the envelope layering also helps keep it cool, but then their fanning kind of just draws extra breeze into the nest and kind of just airs it out and keeps it cool. But look how much activity there's just on the outside. It's pretty wild.
There goes 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, this is a busy nest, man. This is end of the year nest. There's a lot of numbers there. I'd say probably about 500-600 adults in there, maybe more.
And the ones that are out, what are they? They're just out.
The ones right there.
Well, the ones that are not in the nest, so they're out doing their thing.
They're out catching bugs and things.
And they'll abandon after once they realize that's gone.
Yeah, well, what happens is, so like at the beginning of the year, you have one single queen that starts that nest, and she'll go out, she'll forage, she'll start building comb. Once her brood start hatching, then she stays in the nest solely, and then the adults will go out and start foraging and catching bugs. So when they're protective over their food. Their food is the larva. The larva regurgitate a fluid that they can eat. They can't eat chunk food. So when they go out and hunt bugs, they're bringing those bugs back for the larva to eat.
Gotcha.
And then the larvae act like an external stomach. They digest the food, and then they regurgitate fluid. And then So it's give and take, and that's why they're so aggressive. They're not aggressive because of the nest. They're aggressive. That's their food.
Right.
If those larvae go, they're done. You know, and that's kind of what happens when I remove them. I was telling him to do a nest like yours, I would snip it down out of the tree and then bag it, and you're still going to see some flying around because they're out foraging.
Right.
You know, and there's no way for me to be able to suck them up like I can here.
Yeah.
So these, like the nest like this, I'll suck up as many of the foragers as I can, keep the nest there, and just keep sucking until majority of them are come back, and then I'll start tearing the nest out and take it down. You know, and then that way you get everything all inclusive.
Yeah. I finally read your shirt. That's Wasp you talking about.
It's too bad I didn't bring my Do I Make You Hornet shirt. That one gets a lot of laughs.
All that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know how you get up there though. Like that's
what I mean. I have
that's
a
as high as my roof line on the second.
Yeah. I have a snipper pole. I have an extension pole. I just take it up and snip the branch that it's on and then bag the nest.
Okay.
So I mean, I have a tall ladder too, but I mean, I'll get up as high as I can and put a bucket under it for it to drop into and cap it right away. And then when I take it home, I mean, it'll die in the heat of the bin anyway. So by the time I get home, a lot of them will be dead on the bottom. This heat's just, they're very sensitive to temperature increase. Like by like 5 degrees, that's why all those are out there. They're fanning the entranceway to cool it off. But look at them all. I mean, that's
You're
incredible.
Like a science teacher.
Hey man, dude. I hear you're a teacher.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I'm in special education.
Oh, okay.
But I'm like, this is like my older son and I. Is what we do. We watch the History Channel and the Animal Planet. And we're like, that's like so.
Hey, you gotta check out my YouTube channel, Hornet King.
Hornet King. Okay.
Yeah, man, absolutely. It's all education, and it shows a lot of nests from inside people's houses, and European hornets, bald-faced hornets, yellow jackets. Well, these are technically yellow jackets, but they smell that vacuum. That thing's got pheromone all over it. Yeah, man, this is probably time for you guys to bag up.
All right. All right.
All right, man. I'll catch up with you.
Thank you.
Yep.
No, we call the
Hornet King.
Hornet King.
All right.
Hornet.
Yeah, man. Check it out.
I'm gonna do it now.
Yeah, drop a comment.
Me too.
Okay.
All right.
That's on YouTube? All right.
All right, it's just a little bit more activity here in the front. So I was just kind of getting things set up, getting ready to get this removal started and underway. The homeowner had a lot of questions, and actually the neighbor was over, and he has a nest too that he was kind of thinking about maybe having taken down. Just like to educate people about wasps and bald-faced hornets and yellow jackets and things. So this was kind of just an extra like zoomed-in shot using the software to zoom in, so it might look a little bit grainy, but I wanted to show all the activity coming out of that hole. I mean, there were so many adults inside this nest. So this is like basically an end-of-season nest. Like this thing had developed, you know, reproductives and males, and it was going to be, I mean, it still is. So I'm going to relocate the nest itself to allow it to release its queens and males. So nests like this that are kind of in bushes or, you know, anything like that, it's the technique is pretty much the same. You guys have seen me do this several times now. I vacuum up the foragers, so when they're out foraging and things, it might take them 45 minutes to an hour to come back to the nest. So I kind of hang around with the vacuum and just get as many as I can coming back. But the first technique that I do is I tap on the top of the nest, and that will pretty much, the vibration just kind of like draws the attack response, and they start to like pour out of that hole, and they go right into the vacuum. You can see a couple made it past the vacuum and then start flying around, but bald-faced hornets activity is such to where that when they fly out, they will swarm a little bit, and then they hit the mark or whatever the mark is, which is me in this case, and then they fly right back to the entranceway, and then they get sucked up as they come back in. So just a few more taps on the top just to kind of get some whatever's left in there to stir up. What will be left in there are adults that had just recently hatched who are not actually flying yet, and so they stay inside the nest. The queen will stay inside the nest. She does not come back out. Even if she did come out, she wouldn't be able to fly. They kind of like, I mean, she might, like from a high rise, she could kind of glide, but her abdomen gets too big and heavy, and she can't get herself off the ground anymore. So I kind of just spend some time here just holding the vacuum in place while foragers come back. So that you can tell the ones that had swarmed out of the nest because they're flying around in like circles, and then the ones that are coming back from foraging pretty much go right to the hole because unbeknownst to them, a bunch of activity has happened, and they didn't get the memo. So I try to pull a couple of these branches out of the way so to get some good camera angle. Of course, unfortunately, when I move things around like this on around a nest location, that does kind of alert the foragers coming back that there is something's amiss, because then they'll start kind of floating around and trying to figure out why things look different. So while I'm sitting there, the first little bit, like I said, I vacuum up and I do it all by hand. But then once I'm just waiting for foragers to come back, I try to set the nozzle up like right at the entranceway and allow for let the vacuum do the work, and I just kind of stand back and let it happen. Further away I am, the less curious new foragers coming back are. They're curious about the nozzle, but they're not curious about me, and more likely to just fly right into the hole. So a common misconception when I show these videos, people think that my vacuum is weak, and they question why I don't get a stronger vacuum. And I have reiterated this in other videos, but I'll do it again here. So what happens is I'm sucking the adults up as they're flying, not once they're on the nest or landing inside the nest. So what I do is, see right here, they're flying directly into the hole, and what that is that when they're taking off or landing and they're still mid-flight, they're slowing down, and the vacuum can just draw them right in. So you'll see it. I mean, you'll see probably 20 of them this will happen to it. So they're going to kind of land on the entranceway, but the vacuum's right there and is able to just suck them in immediately. I do get a couple slow motion shots here just to kind of give a even better idea as to what that looks like. So I'm not holding this vacuum. This is just kind of doing its own thing, and I'm standing back at the camera and allowing the adults to fly in. And here comes a slow motion shot. Same shot, but it's just slowed down so you can see how this happens. So she'll go in the hole, and bloop, down she went. It's the best method for this. To try to suck them off using a powerful vacuum, this would be like sucking up the edges of the envelope and making a big mess, making a mess of the nest. And I kind of want to keep this nest intact. It's a beautiful nest. This thing is huge, about the size of a beach ball, or maybe a big basketball, as if basketballs are different sizes. Well, then again, there is a miniature basketball. I do use that as a reference, and I've gotten picked on before because people think that I'm talking about a small basketball in the sense that a full basketball could be different sizes, but there are such things as miniature basketballs, and that's usually what I'll use as a measurement guide for people to kind of give a visual how big these things are. So it's a little bit bigger than a basketball, not quite a beach ball. Humongous nonetheless. So as you can see, there's still some foragers flying around that are a little bit concerned about the vacuum being there, but that activity dies down quick once I step away and let the vacuum do its thing. So I'm just going around and clipping off a little bit of the branches that are still kind of intertwined in the nest because I don't really want to rip it all apart. And this makes it easier to extract once I actually execute pulling it out of the bush, because I don't want it to rip apart and have whoever's inside come pouring out from some other orifice. So just a few snips here and there, just kind of go around the nest and find wherever branches might be grown into it. And I didn't have my loppers, so I had to use my snipper pole. And I mean, it works just the same, but it's a bit cumbersome getting into that bush. So that's the nest. That's my cat, Cookie. No, it's a great sized nest. The top of that, diameter-wise, is probably about 14 to 16 inches wide. So any good shots are best left off camera. As you can see here, I decided that I would bag it out of shot, so that's always good. I was a bit disappointed with that. I was hoping to be able to show you all aspects of how I do this, but basically it's like a hamper bag, and I usually stuff my bald-faced hornet's nest into those and then put them in the Rubbermaid bin. So unfortunately with these kinds of removals, there's going to be some foragers left over that now I can't use the vacuum because they don't know where the nest hole is, so I could have that sitting there forever and they might not fly into it. So I have to go with a little bit of the fogging black flag, stuff's for flying insects, not necessarily just for hornets or wasps. And I just go around and wait for them to land or fly into the bush, and then I hit them with the spray. So this is after a day, and it's sitting in my truck in the vacuum, and the smell of this is absolutely hellacious. I mean, it's like, it's worse than a dead animal. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. It made me want to vomit. Like, I was gonna throw up, I think. Ah, it stinks. Oh my god. Sorry guys, I can't even bring myself to put my hands in here. This stinks so bad. It smells like a dead animal. Oh, Jesus. That is wicked. I gotta get that out of here. Jesus. Don't mind my slippers. So I decided I was going to show you guys where, how I dump it then. I get that a lot in the comments. People ask where what I do with the adults in the vacuum. So I take them out and dump them in one of two locations. I have two kind of compost pile just for organic dumping, organic material. That's my barn. And actually over on the other side of that barn is where the relocation nest is with the two nests. So I just kind of take it out and I'll dump it out here on this organic pile. It literally smells like dead deer. And this is as good a spot as any. Barf. You guys can't even imagine how disgusting that smelled. There's got a couple more in there I gotta beat out of there. The light that you're seeing is actually a flashlight that I was just given to review from a company called Olight, and this is the ultra bright end of the spectrum. It has like four different settings: low, medium, bright, and then ultra. And it is just phenomenal. I mean, I could have been using the light for my camera, but I wanted to show how bright this thing was. And look, it was attracting all these bugs. That's how bright it was.
Really bright.
Alright guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed this content, please drop in the comments, let me know what you think. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. And if you're a returning subscriber, thanks for supporting my channel and tuning in and commenting and letting me know of all the things you guys enjoy about it. And I'll catch you guys on the next video.